This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by Globalspeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. TAG TV and TAG Radio is a service of Globalspeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Jason, Dan, welcome to TAG Radio.
Oh, thank you, Frank.
Let's start with Jason. We were really, just a few seconds ago, as we were beginning set up for our podcast, we were chatting about the whole subject of Internet of Things and the dynamics that are involved in it, and really the pervasive disruption vertically and horizontally, not one industry vertically, but everything that's across the board. I certainly don't have to tell you guys. But, Jason, let's start with you. A pretty obvious concern, but maybe one that a lot of our listeners may not be aware of, and that's what are some of the challenges, especially the significant ones for the whole idea of IoT to grow?
I think the biggest one is folks having the understanding, right? IoT is here, it's growing, it's expanding, it's, like you said, it's disrupting everything. I think the biggest challenge is for folks to fully understand how that's happening, how it's potentially impacting them, whether it be a consumer or a business that sells. I think there's a lot of folks that are currently don't really have a plan for how is IoT going to impact us, and trying to figure that out. I think that's one of the things that makes it a very interesting topic for things like TAG. So.
Well, maybe part of the situation when you're an entrepreneur or a business person, even a consumer. Jason, you mentioned the consumer market, but we don't have to. Everybody says the same thing almost over and over. If it isn't traffic, it's the speed and how busy things are anymore, and how complicated things are. Because every time we do something, it upgrades, advances, or changes in some way or another. And that little point that you're making, I think, obviously becomes a critical point, and that is, how do you get the message out? How do you really express, say, for example, really the importance to, say, business and government that this whole thing is going to have? Dan, let me throw that one at you. Why is the Internet of Things so important to, say, business and then maybe even government? Give us a perspective on that.
It's truly, thank you for that question, Frank. This is truly the next evolution of our industry. And I'm saying industries because I think that IoT touches so many different industries in so many different ways. It's very pervasive. It's all about extending the reach of data collection. It's extending that reach of your capabilities, your business processes. And one of the reasons why we termed this year's IoT Symposium "The Time Is Now" is because I think there's been a lot of companies that have been on the fence, and they haven't felt that it was important enough for them to get into it. If they're not into it today, I think that they're getting into the industry too late. They need to evaluate their business processes. They need to evaluate how they currently serve their customers and clients, and use IoT technologies to improve those businesses, that speed to market, and that intelligence, and get that on the edge and bring it back into processing.
Well, and again, though, if you're about your business, even if you're a CIO or a CTO and you're about your business, it really is a challenge to keep up with all the dynamics that are in play. And now what we're really talking about, aren't we, is sort of the words are disruptive and transformation, and then, of course, the whole idea of artificial intelligence, but truly it's all about data, right? And then the sophistication of the structured data being interpreted into actual perceived or projected reactions, and the whole idea of how to use that information in a positive way to provide services that are more convenient and more efficient if you're a business person, say, for example. Of course, the other side of it seems like it's a security concern, and I think there's a lot of times that when we talk about IoT, you certainly have to talk about the cloud, and I think, Jason, as far as the cloud's concerned, I can't think of anybody better to throw this one at you, and that is that, let's talk about this whole issue of, IoT is the kind of the end aspect of it, I guess, for lack of a better description. But one of the biggest things is, are you adopting the cloud? And most of the players, I would say, are. You can give us some insight in that. But also maybe even address this whole idea of security and putting that data up into the cloud.
Yeah, it's a hot topic for everybody in the industry, right? And it's driven primarily by the consumers of these products, but security of the information that's in the cloud Nobody, people walk around and they don't necessarily have a good idea, a grasp of what is the cloud and what is the information in there and how is it being used, and how does that cloud get fed, right? And the IoT feeds a lot into that directly, right? The IoT devices and services that are being provided end up feeding a lot into that, and so there's going to be a challenge for companies to make sure that they're educating, both themselves internally and their customer bases as to what they are collecting, how, and where it's being stored, and what it's being used for. So it's it's yet another aspect of the whole IoT puzzle that every company who's touching it needs to have a good plan for.
Well, and again, that becomes the question of awareness for sure, education, and then obviously embracing yet one more change. Ideally, when you make this one, it'll all be over, correct? And there'll never be any more changes, right? No. As soon as we get this one adopted, I'm sure we'll advance to something even better. And then you got the players that are carrying the ball and having to really kind of take care of what's going on today, but then look to the future. Dan, Verizon, got to be at the edge. There's no two ways about it. So give us some insight into what Verizon's doing in this industry.
Verizon is actually doing a holistic approach to attacking this industry. Not only do we have the most reliable network, and we're very proud of that fact, we also are looking at all the solutions that run on the network. We have made some strategic acquisitions in the areas of smart cities, energy, agriculture, healthcare, automotive areas, specifically automotive areas here in the Atlanta area with the acquisition of Hughes Telematics and then Fleetmatics and Telligilgis. Verizon's all about providing the whole turnkey solution, not only just the infrastructure, but also all the applications and the security and the professional services that wrap everything together and make it one turnkey environment for our customers.
I got to tell you guys, when you first did last year's event, there was some buzz, but I think most of the buzz was just flat curiosity that absolutely got resolved by attending, because I think that everybody went to the conference last year, just walked away really just, that thing about I'm amazed but not surprised, but I think a lot of them were both amazed and surprised to hear some of the things that were, projected out and some of the things that could impact their businesses not only now but in the future. Jason, you want to try to give us some insight into what's going on with this year's conference? Because I got some ideas that you guys are doing something even bigger and better than before.
I'm sorry, you broke up there. What was the question?
Last year's event was a home run. I'm talking about this year's event, and maybe give us some insight as to what's different this year from last.
Sure. So, I'm lucky to be involved with the IoT Symposium this year. It's my first year actually getting to work on it. But I've talked extensively with the folks who did it last year, and it sounded like it was a great event. I think that this year I'm really excited about the keynote speakers that are lined up and the panels that have been set up. I think that topically the panels are right on the mark. I think that folks are going to be very interested. That it's going to, probably hopefully it leads them to actually have more questions than answers, because it's such a wide spectrum of topical items. And the keynote speakers that we have lined up are amazing too. We have folks from Honeywell, we've got folks from SAP, we got City of Atlanta involved. I mean, it's going to cover a wide base of interest, I believe. So.
Well, I'll tell you what else too, Dan, if you would, but Jason, you weigh in as well. But one of the things that we often really don't do enough, and that is to say thanks to the sponsors. I don't want to be a blatant commercial, but the other side of it is when you're pushing something like this invisible moment, when there doesn't seemingly have any immediate return on investment, and it becomes just that, a long-term investment. If you don't have the sponsorship, the idea exchange, the networking, the things that become so valuable, things that TAG is so well known for, obviously wouldn't happen. You want to throw out a couple of names of some guys that have been giving you the support, Dan?
Oh, absolutely. And we've got some great sponsors this year. Our title sponsor is Honeywell. They've come to the table with, and they're all about the power of connected. They've been doing a lot in this space, and they have been very generous in supporting our environment. Again, back this year is SAP. They have come to help us again, and we appreciate their continued support. Well, we also have the Cumberland Group, AT&T. We have Alpharetta, UltraWorks, Neodesics, Optimum Production, Spurlock, and State Farm.
Well, without question, each one of those, most of our listeners would recognize because they've been active and so much a player in our community for so long. But the other side of it is that the people, the attendees, Dan, cover that a little bit. Who should attend and why should people attend?
You know, I would think that anywhere or any company or anybody that has something to do with, a business process that has remote data endpoints, anyone that has to process information for companies, anyone that provides field services or run any kind of operations out. So I think that really holds the whole gambit.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should be attending this, and not only to learn what use cases are currently successful, and then they can apply those use cases to their own business processes. I think that just educating themselves is an optimal experience. I also think that those that want to look at career changes or look at new directions, I would encourage them to come out, meet some of the players in this industry. Because I got to tell you, Frank, everybody in this industry is growing right now. Verizon's hiring, Google's hiring, SAP and Honeywell, they're all expanding specifically in the IoT area. This is a huge networking opportunity for individuals that want to just come out, see what's happening, educate themselves on this industry, and then make a change in their career.
You know, again, you cannot underestimate how many articles the experts and researchers and the people that are looking to the future are all saying the dramatic and absolutely historic impact of these changes. You must go to the conference. You can't stand by the wayside in this particular situation. The word is disruptive, and there's a reason why it's used. Knowledge is power, as never before. Maybe as a close, Dan, because I know you guys are snowed and with your individual businesses, but also the event and all of the planning that's going on, give us a little rundown of some of the details, the where, when, and then maybe a little call to action.
Absolutely. One thing before I begin with that, I just wanted to let everybody know that there are some new technologies that are launching this year and next, whether it be CAT-M, and if you want the definition of CAT-M, I ask you to come on out and understand that. Also, 5G technologies is coming out, and some of the new security features that are associated with some of these new transformative network technologies all be discussed on August 31st. And this year at the Renaissance Waverly, Atlanta, we're going to kick everything off with registration and opening up our exhibit hall at 8 a.m. We'll have some opening remarks from Larry Williams, our CEO of TAG. I'll also have a chance to say a few words. And then our opening keynote is Samir Sami, who's the CIO of the City of Atlanta, and he's going to talk about IoT and city life. We're going to have some innovation talk from Accenture. That'll be a really interesting preview on the IoT stats and facts, sort of get us kicked off. We're also going to get into some real use cases, some real-life use cases and how successful they are and what they mean. Of course, we'll have some breakout sessions, lots of networking in here. We'll have a keynote from Stephen Gull, who's the VP and General Manager of the Connected Enterprise for Honeywell. We'll announce our hackathon results, and then we'll have a quick break, and then we'll have some breakout sessions and some additional breakout sessions. These breakout sessions are various panel discussions that we bring in experts together to talk about the different aspects of IoT, and whether it be from a connected life to infrastructure and such. There'll be some really key keynotes. And then there's going to be a keynote in the afternoon for supply chain and connected workers for leveraging the IoT in the cloud. And then our final keynote, which we're really excited about, is the future of IoT, what's next? And that's Tom Rafferty with SAP. We're very happy that Tom is going to make the trip over from Europe, and this will probably be the real highlight of the event. And then we're going to have a nice reception and networking after the event from 4:30 to 6. So for more information and registration, I would ask that everybody go out to www.tagonline.org/IoTGA or just go out just do a Google search for Technical Association of Georgia IoT. They can also, just send me an email, daniel.foster@verizon.com. I'll be glad to assist them personally.
Well, we don't really say it often, but we're going to say it this time. And there's a lot of events, a lot of really good events. And I know a lot of my friends and business people that we do business with are always challenged about time and making the decision of investment. And is it really worth a return to take not only the cost of going, but really the real cost, and that's taking the time to get involved and not have a deliverable, not having a walk away. Sounds to me like, guys, you got a home run, and this is not one you're going to want to miss. This is one you're going to want to mark your calendar. Don't miss the event. Guys, Jason, Dan, thanks so much for being on the organizing committee. Sounds like an incredible event, and thank you for taking a couple of minutes out of your busy schedule to join us today on TAG Radio.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Enjoyed being on your show.